Boys, I think last week I won the Douchebag of the Week award.
Oh, I know the story.
What'd you do?
Yeah.
I know it.
So, my coworker, who I'm also pretty good friends with outside of work, he was trying to get me to come over like all weekend, and the introvert that I am didn't much feel like leaving the house. I did have things to do, and the excuses I made were all legitimate, but I kind of stretched them because
Stretched them thin.
you know, I just really didn't want to like go out and do anything. So he was like trying to get me to come over all weekend. I kept making excuses. No, I can't. No, I can't. And Monday we get to work and it's lunchtime and he's like, oh, but he's getting married in August. He goes out to his truck. He's like, oh, I got your formal invitation. And he hands me this box.
What's in the box?
So I'm like, ooh,
What's
that's
in the
fancy.
box?
I was like, ooh, that's fancy. So I
Whoa, you
open
got a
the
box?
Step one,
and step one.
cut a hole in the box.
Open the box. And this was in the box.
Is that a watch?
It is a
Whoa,
watch.
bro!
Dude,
what?
that
Nice
thing's
watch.
sick.
What does
And
it?
on-
What does
and
that
on-
have etched on the front?
And on the front of the watch, it says, you probably can't read it. It says,
Kind of.
Randy Groomsman, August 21st, 2021. Or 2022.
Dang.
I was
So
like,
he was trying to tell you were a groomsman.
Yeah.
And you're bailing on him.
yeah.
Stretching out your excuses throughout
Yeah,
the
because
weekend.
and you know, I made excuses because I didn't want to deal with the confrontation of just straight up saying, you know, hey man, I just don't really feel like coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think we've all been there, and we get that. But there's times where confrontation is a good thing, where confrontation can be a positive. And that's what we're going to be talking about on today's episode, is the positive aspects and some of the negatives, but mostly the positive aspects of confrontation. Chris.
Wait a second.
Uh-oh.
We're talking. Is that the topic? I thought you said Pisces constellation.
That's it. I'm leaving.
I thought we were talking about positive collaboration.
Positive
no.
constipation.
Yeah, how can we talk about a whole episode of confrontation? I want to talk about this constellation.
Which
I want to talk
constellation?
about illumination, contemplation.
Now we're getting real philosophical with testicles over here.
I have a list of words that rhyme
Oh
with
no!
confrontation.
This is
You
why I
came
hate you.
prepared.
I want to talk about positive demonstration.
How long have you
I
been
don't know
sitting
if
there with
that
that list
rhymes.
pulled up?
A while. I
You're
want to
just
talk
waiting.
about
What a loser.
positive observation, or maybe
Dealing
corporation.
with dealing with constipation.
There's never any such thing as positive corporation.
Positive liberation. What about a positive destination?
I can get down with
This is
that.
going to go on for hours. This is the episode, everyone. What words rhyme with confrontation?
Wait, what do you
Maybe.
mean rhyming? I thought that was just the topic list that we have in the drive.
Yeah.
Oh.
These are all different topics. We could talk about positive notations. Maybe this is a positive violation.
No, that's next week.
Stop.
Well, I've got some
This
positive.
whole, this whole dynamic is a violation.
I've got a positive inclination as well as
Stop.
positive anticipation for
I'm
a
cutting
positive
you-
confrontation.
I'm cutting you off.
Whoa.
I just wrapped it in. I
He
just
did.
it.
He did.
Wrapped it in.
Gosh.
I was so ready for
Can't
it.
take
I
you
love
anywhere.
it. I love it. We're all pretty tired here this morning, so thanks for tuning in. We all got our coffee. Hopefully, when this comes out on a Monday morning, you will also have your coffee on your way to work. And we just made you laugh a little bit, and that's the goal here. So as I take my sip of coffee, reflect, take a sip of your coffee, and enjoy the moment. Stand by.
Pour one out for the boys. Even if you're in your car. Okay.
No, I'm back. I'm just kidding. Welcome back. So wherever you are, thanks for tuning in yet again. We've been getting a lot of traction on the podcast recently, so we just want to say thank you before we really dive into this episode.
Mm-hmm.
We are confronting the positive things that are going on with the podcast. There's positive confirmation, confrontation,
Constellations.
Constantinople. Yeah, so thanks for tuning in. Positive confrontation. It is important, and everyone hates it. Confrontation, let's not kid ourselves, is a very, very difficult thing to do. Whether it's in your benefit or like it benefits someone else, maybe it's a negative thing that happens to you, or like it hurts somebody, but it's good for you. There's tons of different ways confrontation can affect you. And we're going to talk about why it's good, why confrontation is necessary sometimes. So we talk about a lot about positive, like communication, like good communication, clear, concise, right? Mm-hmm. So last episode we talked about communication. We just tapped on it for a little bit, and we talked about confrontation. It was mentioned in there a little bit. So what stories do you guys have? I got a good one.
I have a good one as well.
For confrontation.
Shall I go first?
Go for it.
Take it
So,
away.
not to bore you all with details you've heard many times before, but in the past I've talked often about how the last few jobs I've had have like seriously taken advantage of me. And there got to a point where I came to a realization that it wasn't really necessarily the job's fault. I mean, yes, they were somewhat responsible in the sense that they were the ones taking advantage of me and my time. However, I am also, I would say, equally responsible because I never had that confrontation moment where I like stopped and said, hey, like, I feel like I'm getting taken advantage of here. Like, I wanted to avoid that confrontation, so I just allowed what was happening to go on. And that's where confrontation became a positive for me, because once I realized that, I finally said to myself, hey, enough is enough. Like, this is my life. Like, I have to take control. They're obviously not going to take control, and it's like it's working out well for them. So I have to be the one to do it, and that's ultimately what I ended up doing. I did it a little bit at my last job before I ended up leaving, where it just got to the point where I said, like, no, I would just straight up say no to stuff. Like, they'd say, can you just say no? Not make excuses, not do anything. Like, I would just say no. And they said, well, why not? I said, I can't do it. And I even did at one point have that conversation where I said, I talked to my boss, and I also talked on behalf of a few of my other coworkers who felt similar to me, who didn't want to have that conversation. There's
Ooh, the confrontation conversation.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Say that 5 times fast.
I feel like at work it's hard to set that boundary between like how much work you can actually do and how much they're tasking you with.
It is. And I think what ends up happening, it really sucks for people. Again, I don't want to beat a dead horse because it's something I've talked about a bunch of times, but it's tough for people who are good workers and who go above and beyond and go the extra mile, because what ends up happening is it just becomes like to the job, it just becomes the normal. Like
you become the yes man.
Yeah, you're 110% in their eyes is what your 100% is. And, you got to make that clear that that's not always the case. And that's what I ended up doing. And that's what I've done so far at my new job. And like, honestly, it's almost like diving into a cold pool. You just gotta go for it, because I've found too that in doing so, like, it hasn't affected me in a negative way at work. When I say no to certain things, it's not like I'm getting in arguments and fights with my boss, and it's not like I'm not getting perks of the job because of, having these confrontation moments and not allowing the job to take advantage of me. So that's one thing that, like, definitely a positive that I have taken away from confrontation is just, like, you are your best advocate. You are the person who's going to advocate for yourself more than anybody else is. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. So, you kind of just have to suck it up and go for it if you don't want to end up becoming miserable with what you're doing. And that's definitely a huge takeaway for me. And like I said, honestly, it's been a huge positive moving forward. It was a big positive at my last job. Once I finally started doing it, it's been a good positive in this job, going forward. So I would recommend 100%.
I think it's also like a good leadership trait, right? Like they see that, like, he's not afraid to, maybe not necessarily speak his mind, but, he knows his limits, and he knows if he's going to do, like, if they task you to do something and you're just like super tired, like you're going to make a mistake, it's a safety hazard, like you speak up, where like some people wouldn't even speak up,
Well, especially in this job now that I have too, there's stuff like if they ask you to do so, there's tons of rules in place and and things like that. A lot of times, like if you get asked to do something that would necessarily would break a rule, like you just no, just straight up no. It's not you do it because your boss is asking you to. It's just, no, I can't do that. Like that's right in the rules. I can't do that.
Yeah. I know for us flyers, we have, it's kind of stupid, but we have this thing called ORM, Operational Risk Management, before we fly, and it's basically gives you an out. There's like you have a number based on your sleep, how you're feeling, like all these different things, right?
Stressors in your life.
Yeah, any stress. Like basically, how are you mentally and physically right now? Because you're about to get on an airplane where what you do matters in the lives of 36 other people, right?
Yep.
Now this usually gets waived anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But you do have the option to confront like the pilot in command, right? You can say, "Hey, sir, like I slept 2 hours last night. I don't feel good. I'm stressed out. Like maybe you're going through like relationship struggles. Like I don't think I should get on that airplane today." And a lot of people don't feel that comfortable doing it. Even though it is like a clear out, they want you to do that. They want you to speak up and be like, if you don't feel...
I've done it before.
Yeah. I've actually never done it because I've never been at that point, which is really, really good. Maybe on deployments I should have here and there, but, hindsight. But, yeah, that confrontation is difficult for people, even though it's like a judgment-free... Like, maybe if you're going on a mission, right? Like, dude, come on. Like, we need you to...
Got to hack the mish.
Yeah, like, can you press? Like, okay, yeah, fine. But here at home on, like, a training flight where it's, like, especially if you're not needed, maybe there's, like, a couple of you and you're just flying for, like, currency. You'll be like, hey, like, I'm not feeling great. Like, I'm going through some stuff. I got to hop off. Like, they give you that out. And that's really nice. But, again, some people don't like that little bit of confrontation, right? Maybe they're a little too introverted or something.
Let me ask you a question.
That is a positive. Yeah, go ahead.
Because this could actually be another side of that positive confrontation. Let's just say, like, for instance, like, let's say you and Jared are supposed to go on a flight together. And you know that, like, Jared's got some stuff going on. Like, maybe he's going through a bad breakup. And maybe he didn't, he didn't get any sleep last night. And he's just kind of, like, a mess. And then Jared goes in and says, "Oh yeah, I'm good to fly," and like you don't think so. Are you able to speak up and and have that other kind of confrontation moment, almost kind of with Jared, and say like, "Hey, like I know he said he's good, but I don't think he's good."
Oh yeah, you're absolutely allowed to do that, and like, I mean, you'd want to speak to them like privately, not in front of like 30 other people. But
yeah, I like that's the type of confrontation that you'd want to do with the individual person. You don't want to like go behind.
Are you dying right now?
Sorry, I didn't know that was going on. I can't hear my own voice right now. Yeah, we could skip that. But I think that's an interesting thing with confrontation is that like you have to do it with the right person, because if you do know that individual didn't sleep last night, you have to ask the question, is it easier to talk to that person? Hey, Jared, you didn't sleep last night. You should tell someone that you like if you're good or not, or should you go tell like the pilot like immediately or something? Who would you confront about this situation?
Yeah, I think you would take Jared aside real quick and be like, "Hey," and if he says like, "No, I'm good," and like you look at him and he is not good, then you
I'm
you
good.
In the
Tears rolling down my eyes.
Next question. Yeah, it's like
literally falling asleep,
like sleeping in his car in the parking lot or something, and then comes in and says he's good. Like
smells like booze.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah. You know what? I just had a really good throwback to an emotional time of my life. Remember, Talon, you were out there. I was flying 2020. I was deployed, right? I was going through a breakup while I was deployed. Well, I knew I was going through a breakup. She didn't yet. But you can listen to that episode like way back in the day. Anyway.
Way old.
But I was not in the right headspace. Like I was in the car, like getting ready for the flight and like just tunnel vision. Like zoned out, like in my own head, miles deep in my own head, and people to the point where people looked at me and they're like, "Dude, are you okay?" And I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Are you good?" I'm like, "No, I'm not." And I still flew. Like I should not have flown during that. And that's something I didn't do. I didn't confront my feelings or like let anyone know what was going on because it was pretty personal. But there was a limit. Like looking back, I should not have been flying. It's like I need to let at least somebody in charge know what I'm going through so that like I don't cause a bigger issue.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah, and
that was
it's important. Sorry, Randy. It's important for you to also, like, for me, for instance, perfect example. I teach students how to fly. So I got, 18-year-old, 19, 20-year-olds coming through training, flying with us. And every morning we fly, I ask them questions. I'm like, hey, how'd everyone sleep last night? Or like, if I see one person, they're kind of like giving me signals or something like that they aren't okay or like they're really tired. I'll ask them like, hey, how'd you sleep? Like, and it won't just be like, hey, how's your day going? Or how you feeling today? And then like wait for them to say good, because that's the most typical answer, and then move on. No, I try to like ask different questions like and then see if anything's off, or like if they say okay or like all right, and I listen to like the tone of their voice, like if it's wavering or not, and all this stuff like eye contact, their body language, and then if you see something might be off, then just like kind of probe a little bit more, but like do it without letting them know, like just let them know that you care. Yeah. And then maybe they can open up to you and be like, well, actually, I got this thing going on. I didn't really sleep well. Half the time, it's not going to be a big deal at all. It's just going to be, they stayed up a little too late, like playing video games or something. But it's important for you, like, especially, you mentioned leadership, Talon or Randy, I think. Like you're going to deal with people who are not into confrontation. Like they're young and they're timid, and they don't want to confront anyone, or like they're scared to be that person that hops off the flight because they aren't feeling good. So that's why it's important for us to learn that as leaders too.
That was
it could be really tough in some situations, because for us, again, for example, just going off of the current conversation, if we're that person that's like, yeah, I didn't sleep last night, or I'm stressed out, I don't feel like I should fly, we could be a reason to cancel the entire flight, because like especially when we're deployed, because our positions are necessary. And it's really tough to come to that realization, because you don't want to be that person. Like it's really tough to have that internal confrontation, like to begin with.
Internal confrontation.
Chris's example, Chris's story was like the whole reason, not that in particular, but like a situation similar, was like the whole reason I bring that up, because like you even said to some of the other guys in your crew, like, no, I'm not good. And that's where I think if it were me and I were on that crew, I would be like, hey, like, Chris is my buddy, and he said, like, I don't want him on that plane. Yeah. Like, and if for no other reason, because it's like, my life is in his hands too. And if he can't, he can barely answer a simple question because he's not in that headspace. Like, I don't want him on the plane with me.
Yeah, exactly.
And hopefully you can hash it out with him beforehand, and you don't have to say that.
But like, I think it's like important, like when you get to that point where, if like you can't, if like I tried to say like, hey Chris, like I don't think you should go, and he's like, no, I'm good. That's when I would say, well, I'm gonna go to whoever and tell them I don't think you should, because I really don't think you should.
Yeah.
And that's, that's just me, and I know it's not easy to do, but at the end of the day, I think you would have thanked me at the end of the day, like had that been the situation. Oh yeah. Because it would, you might have been mad in the moment, but at the same time, it's like you come to a realization that like, wow, I really shouldn't have done it. I could have really like, hurt or killed people. Like, I think when it gets to that point, when it starts affecting you, like that's also a time where you need to speak up. It's like, okay, this isn't just like affecting confrontation in his life. You're like, now it's mine. Now it's my well-being.
That's a great point.
Put into question.
In that situation, just analyze that person as best as possible, because you might not think that they're in the greatest headspace, but maybe they just didn't have their morning coffee yet. You don't want to like go tell like you're like whoever's in charge of like whatever's going on, and then they go to like Chris or whoever it might be, and they're like, yeah, I'm perfectly fine, and then now Chris is mad at you for going straight to that person.
Yeah. So, well, it's like you said, you talk to them first and like get a feel for the situation. I'm just saying, like, specifically in Chris's, like, Chris even at times said, like, no, I'm not okay. Mm-hmm. And it's like, all right, well, maybe you shouldn't go.
I'm just
Yeah.
now I'm just thinking of Talon going to the aircraft commander and being like, Chris hasn't had his coffee yet. Like we can't
flight.
take off. And then the
I'm on board,
AC's like,
dude.
we need to get him coffee stat.
If we could do that every
need
day,
to stop by Starbucks now.
dude,
Fly
pumpkin
over
spice.
Starbucks, see if they can like get a potato gun or something and launch a cup of coffee up to the plane. I don't know, something.
Positive deliberation.
Perfect. We're not sponsored.
Positive
by Starbucks.
caffeination.
Ooh, there we go. Positive caffeination.
Oh man, that's funny.
I can use a.
I got
can
another good
actually
story.
Use a similar example from my work, real quick.
Okay.
Okay.
We were working on a project in our shop, and the one guy, you know, not to say too much info here, but he likes to spend a lot of time in the bathroom. I don't know what
Okay.
he's doing in there, and I don't want to know what he's doing.
Positive constipation.
Yeah, exactly. There's the positive constipation, or he's falling asleep. I don't really know which, but sometimes
I can't
he's in
believe
there for
you
hours.
said that relevantly.
Yeah, I can't either. That was pretty good. So anyway, one of the other guys working on the project came up to me because I'm kind of in and out of the project because I have other stuff that I'm doing. He came up to me and he said, you know, what do I do if they ask me what I'm doing? He's like, I'm kind of just standing around because I gotta wait for this other guy to tell me what to do, and I don't know what to do in the meantime. And I was like, well, he's like, and he said, he's like, I don't want to throw
Read a
him under
book.
the bus. So I said, well, I was like, don't throw him under the bus until it starts to affect you. Like I said, if they come to you and say like, you know, hey, what are you doing? What's going on? I would be like, I can't do anything because the other guy's been in the bathroom and I don't know what to do. Like once it starts like I'm not just gonna go to my boss and be like, you know, hey, he's in the bathroom for hours. Like I don't see a point in doing that. Like that's on him. Like that's his confrontation to have. That's not mine to start. But if it comes to a point where it's starting to affect me, then I'm like, all bets are off. Like, sorry, dude, but now you're affecting my work, and you're affecting my position at the job. So like, you know, I'm throwing you under the bus.
I'm sorry. I'm smiling because I just keep on thinking of words. When you said throw him under the bus, I just wanted to say bumpy transportation. I'm just thinking of words
way
that
off
rhyme
track.
now,
Yeah.
and it's just I'm sorry that's why I was
Wow.
smiling when you were saying that story.
So Jared has
That's
ADD.
hilarious. I was thinking it too.
I've
I
had
got a
too
good
much
story.
coffee this morning.
Ooh,
Let's have
I got
more.
a good story. Let's talk about a positive confrontation story from another deployment. That was a stretch. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, there I was.
Where were you?
Oh, he did it. I was deployed.
Undisclosed
Told you
location.
that. Told you that, idiot.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Deployed. You know, the crew, I think we talked about it. You know, the whole stages: norming, forming, storming, ignoring, snoring,
Storming Normandy?
confrontation, storming Normandy,
Snoring's my favorite.
snoring, boring, chlorofloring. Anyway,
Part where people start tuning out.
yeah, no, don't tune out. Tune in. I got your attention back right now. There it is. Hey-o. And so there I was, but we weren't getting along, right? There was a member on the crew who wasn't getting along with the rest of us. He was a little bit older. You know, there's definitely an age difference. I'm talking like 15 years. I'm kind of in the middle. You know, we got two 20-year-olds actually. Two 20-year-olds. There's me, 28. And then he's almost 40, if not 40, right? So, you know, there's an age gap. And, like, the whole crew is young. Like, I'm talking, I was maybe one of the oldest on the crew. So, we're talking 29 and below was the entire crew. And this man is, like, older. So,
He's the grandpa.
you know, the things we do, the way we communicate, you know, like, it was out of touch with it. He was being excluded a little bit, you know? Well, that started to affect his job, which has started to affect my job, which affected the whole crew, because then I would go and complain and vent to people that I shouldn't have needed to vent to, shouldn't have vented to, right? So, well, it's not their business. What do they care? It's just like putting a bad rap on that guy's name instead of confronting him personally, right? Well, here's where the story gets good. A few flights go by, and it's becoming a problem. It's becoming a problem. Like, people are working harder to cover the slack. He gets frustrated. We get frustrated. It's just not a good crew compliment, right? So what do is I reach out back home to someone and I say, hey, I need help, so I need your experience. I looked up to this person. I said, I need your experience on how to deal with the situation. And they gave me some great advice. They're like, number one, you need to confront it. Like, you have to deal with that right now. And you're not going to do it in your room. You're not going to do it in his room. You're going to go somewhere in a neutral space and you're going to confront him and just politely don't use the term you. That's just not good. You're going to use the term I feel, I see. This is how it affects me. Mm-hmm. And confront this person and let me know how it goes. I said, okay, thank you. So, I schedule a meeting spot. He comes out. He's upset. I'm upset. I start the conversation with like, hey, man, like, what's going on? Like, how can we fix this? And it took a little bit to open up, like he was a little slow, but we got there. Like, few words in, we got there. And by the end of this conversation, it was like we were good. I did not expect this to work.
Wow.
I was like, hey, like, I told the guy back home, I was like, hey, if this doesn't work, like, it's going to be a problem. So just be ready. Okay. It worked phenomenally. Wow. And I was shocked. And I'm pretty sure I told you guys, I was like, hey guys, I just did this. And like, I can't believe that this worked and how well it did work. So the point of the story is sometimes you just need to politely confront someone and use those verbs like it's affecting me and the noun I, not you. Like you
don't
are
use
a problem.
Always or never.
Yeah. And it's phenomenal how much you can accomplish. Like Randy's situation, at work, like everyone at work politely has the ability to confront something they see as wrong and not out of line. Like if you're saying, hey, my squadron sucks, or like this job sucks, this place, like not positively like reinforcing like your argument and not having valid points or solutions to the problem. You're just complaining to complain and confronting that. Like that does no one any good. What you need is to think about it, sit back, relax, take a few deep breaths, think about what you're going to say, think about what the outcome is that you want and how to get there, right? So this positive confrontation, I was just stunned of how well it worked. And from that point on, like we actually became friends. Like we were all arguing, not getting along, not wanting to hang out. And, it wasn't, I'm not going to say it was like 100% like, damn, this guy's like my best friend now. It was like, you know what? Yeah, let's invite him. I see his point. We compromise. Like we'll invite him to stuff. If he doesn't want to come, that's his decision instead of we just know he doesn't want to come. Like don't assume that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it switched that whole crew around. And like that was the best crew I've ever had on deployment because of that. But it needed to be done. It wasn't good at first. Confronted. Great crew.
Yeah. I think
that's great.
Like, what the whole point of this episode that we're doing is it's not always going to go bad. Like people hear like, when you got to confront something, it's automatically assumed it's going to be a negative experience.
Mm-hmm. Like an argument's going to start out or something.
Yeah. It's like, number one, it's exactly like you said, it's how you approach it for starters.
Yeah.
You can't approach it like, pointing fingers and throwing the blame and everything else because you're never going to get anywhere with that. But it's also, it just, sometimes it just has to be done. Like even sometimes people don't realize they're doing something.
Exactly.
And like, it might be affecting you negatively and you're so afraid of confrontation that, you never tell them that they're doing this thing and they just don't know. They don't realize it's happening. I mean, that's kind of what happened even at my last job when I finally confronted my boss and I was like, hey, these are the things that are happening. Like you do realize this, right? It's like, I'm doing this when these other people should be doing it. And he was kind of like, yeah, I never saw it that way. I never realized it. And, and that's when like changes kind of started to happen and like other people started to become held more accountable for what they were doing because it was just assumed that I was going to take the weight and I was going to do it. And that shouldn't have been the case, but that's just what happened because that's how it was going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's not easy, is it? Like,
no, like it sucks. Like you get your heart rate's up, and it's like, you're
all the
scenarios
let me
are going
preface
through your head of just
tell us
how bad this is gonna go.
tell us what your nervous system was telling you going into that.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. So, I planned it. I planned like that whole conversation. It did not go the way I planned at all. Like the first sentence, it derailed the way I thought it was going to go. But
brain just crashing.
no, it just the responses I got, I was expecting this and it was over here. And I was like, well, okay, how do I move forward, tactfully, tactfully.
Tactically.
But yeah. So, going out there, it was at like the gazebo. You guys know the gazebo out in.
Yep.
Yeah.
I already knew where it was before you even said that.
Yeah. I'm out there.
Sounds romantic.
It was not romantic. It was confrontational.
Confrontational romance.
My knees were weak, palms were sweaty. There was vomit on my sweater already. It wasn't
God.
mom's spaghetti.
Gross.
No, just kidding.
Mom's
That was
spaghetti?
stupid. But my palms were sweaty and like I was nervous. Like my heart was racing, right? And it wasn't an argument. Like I wasn't arguing. I just wanted to fix things. And yeah, I was so nervous. And that's when it really dawned on me, like, people hate this feeling. Like, people hate being nervous to confront something. They just hate confronting something. And that's the message I want to spread more than anything is you need to do it. Like, you need to get over that fear of confronting it. Otherwise, nothing's going to change. Yeah, you're going to be nervous. It's going to suck. You might have anxiety going into it. But I promise you, once you get that off of your chest, you're coming out like a million times better on the other side.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, what's better, a couple of minutes of stress and anxiety, or like just pushing it down and dealing with it for months or years?
That exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think like one of the things that helped me, because I was not confrontational growing up, that's something I had to grow into. It's something I had to learn. But when you see
lessons learned,
lessons learned. When you see a situation, or when you're in a situation where, confrontation and like communication, like proper communication would solve the issue, or at least help to like move it along. When you see that, it's scary. Your heart starts racing, like even thinking about doing it. One of the things that helped me, and it's like an actionable step that actually helped me a ton, was I just asked myself, if not me, then who? And that's with anything. Like if something's inconvenient for me to do, something scary, I ask myself that question, and then usually 3 seconds later I'm doing it.
Damn.
It helps a lot.
That's deep, dude.
There was a book
true.
on this. I don't know what it was called because I don't really read. But if you're like me and you don't like to read, you can listen to books on Audible, free for 30 days if you click the link down below. I'm pointing. The boys are pointing. It's in the description. Click it because it helps us out. And it's good. It's an affiliate link. Audible, free for 30 days. And then if you want to keep it, you should just pay for it and do that.
Yeah. That is a great point, Jared. Nice transition. That was a
Good job, Randy.
positive. That was a positive insertion. Didn't work.
Yeah.
Switch the flip. Anyway. Didn't come naturally, organically. There it is. We haven't said organically for a while.
No.
Anyway.
Hit
Yes.
all of them today.
So confrontation, it is tough. It is tough. We know that it is tough. What we are trying to convey is you need to do it. You need to get over that fear, that anxiety, that introvertedness. Is that a
Sure.
word?
Sure. Timidness.
Sweet. Timidness. Cool. And you need to confront whatever it is that it is bothering you. And your life's going to be better. You guys have any final closing remarks before we wrap it all up?
I think we could talk about this forever.
Yeah.
We could.
I'm sure we all
Yeah.
have a million stories about this.
Do any of
Yes.
you guys have like some real actionable steps or like things to get people thinking? Something that they could take? Like for me, it's that, the question I ask myself.
I think you need to be a little bit selfish, honestly. I mean, that's really what pushed me to be more confrontational, was a little bit of selfishness. And I don't think that's a bad thing, because I think I realized that I am never going to move forward in my life if I keep doing things for everybody else.
Yes.
So that was a big thing for me.
Yeah. Let me put it this way. You ever go up to a girl, ask her out,
No.
and just get rejected, right? No. You need to have that positive confrontation with yourself and say, damn it, Randy, I will go talk to this girl. But if you get denied, that sucks, right? But guess what? You can get up and do it again. You can get denied all day long, man. It's that anxiety. That's the worst part, is the anxiety. It doesn't even hurt getting rejected. Like, whatever. It is what it is. Like, okay, well, she clearly wasn't the one. You now know that that is not the girl you're supposed to be with. And that's phenomenal, right? But it's that confrontation, even with yourself. Like, get up. Jared said on, like, one of the sleep things when he's waking up, like, count to 3. Like, 1, 2, 3, do it, right?
You count backwards. So like a
sorry.
a NASA space launch. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Sick. Yeah. So, have it planned out a little bit like I did. No, it's not going to go exactly the way you think. It's just not going to. And be ready to roll with the punches, right? Your outcome might not be the one you want. Maybe you realize that what you're doing is the problem, instead of vice versa. But it is worth confronting and letting your feelings be known, and again, having solutions ready instead of just complaining.
It's better than doing nothing.
It is better than doing nothing. Yep.
Don't overthink it. Don't stress about it. Sometimes you just need to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Get that
Just send
countdown, get up, and blast off. Go do it. Sweet. So, with that being said, thanks for listening. Jared Rumsey, take it away for the outro.
Thank you all. This has been Lessons Learned. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to find us on social media, you can check the links in the description. Stay tuned for further episodes. And if you aren't watching on Spotify, or if you aren't watching on YouTube,
Spotify, sick, yeah.
Then watch us on YouTube. Check us out. You can subscribe and turn on the bell notifications so you see whenever we have a new episode drop. Comment or DM on one of our videos or our social media pages and let us know what you would like us to talk about, or let us know your thoughts on the podcast.
We know you're listening. We've seen the stats. We've seen the increase. We know you're listening to us. We know you're tuning in, so give us some feedback. What do you want to hear?
Yeah. Feedback. Yeah, otherwise it's just going to be our brains in control of this thing, but we value your opinion. We value your time for listening. So, yeah, just let us know what you think. We can start a conversation. All right.
Go ahead. Confront us. Tell us what you want.
Ooh.
Hey, there we go. Tell us what you don't like. I don't like Jared's mustache. He's growing.
What mustache?
Hey, it's here.
Where?
I thought that was just dirt.
I think it is.
All right.
Did you shower today?
All right. Until next time. See ya.
See ya. Okay, going back to
it.
Jared's mustache.
I hate you.